Look, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, you need to know that you can still get insanely good at the guitar. And in this video, I'm first gonna show you how I went from practicing 2 hours a day in my 20s, being stuck at an amateur level, to practicing really only 30 minutes a day in my 30s while getting to a pro level. But here's the thing, my transformation isn't even the best part. The best part is that everyone who I teach this to and they actually follow it, they made the same transformations. Like Phil, for example, who was stuck for years. But significantly increased his speed and dexterity to the level that he always dreamed of. I'm going to show you the exact practice system that I use and my students use to be able to make a transformation like you just saw. So buckle up because this could change your skill level completely. So let's dive in. See, when I was stuck for all those years at an amateur level, I thought that repetition was the key. You know, I thought if I put enough time in, if I did enough repetitions on my craft, I would be unstoppable. But that's not the case. So I actually stayed stuck for a long time until I learned that there's actually a systematic way to get to your dream level of playing no matter what. And it's called deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is a term coined by the Swedish neuroscientist Anders Ericsson. He actually traveled the world for 30 years and he studied the masters of music, dance, chess, and even mathematics. And he discovered that they all practiced in the same way. Every day, they engaged in a very intentional and focused practice session using direct feedback from an actual master who had been in their shoes. See, most guitarists, they just mindlessly repeat things over and over. Or worse, they consistently get distracted, they have no data or feedback on their playing, and they have no clear path. But not you, not anymore. We're going to learn the art and science of deliberate practice, which will really skyrocket your progress. So what does this look like on the guitar? Well, every day you will be practicing in 3 different zones. And using the metronome is a crucial part of this practice as it will dictate what zone you're currently in. The 3 zones are comfort zone, the edge of your ability, and your speed burst zone. So let's talk about the comfort zone first. The comfort zone is a speed at which you can perfectly execute the solo or the exercise that you're working on. So every day you'll spend the first bit of your practice warming up with the metronome in your comfort zone. And this is a good opportunity at the beginning of your practice to get in a ton of solid repetitions baked into your muscle memory. So I'm just going to use this short exercise today to demonstrate. I would say about 80 beats per minute is my comfort zone. The next zone is the edge of your ability. Now this is where the magic happens. This is where the most significant progress actually takes place. This is where you lock into a flow state of learning. So from your comfort zone, you speed up the metronome until things start to fall apart just a little bit. Not too much to where it becomes unmanageable, and this is really important, but just to the point where you start making a few mistakes. And that's why it's called the edge of your ability. This is where the masters practice. This is where they spend a lot of time problem solving. Now, once you're at the edge of your ability, this is where you start pinpointing your mistakes one at a time and fixing them one at a time. Again, we're trying to combat this mindless repetition thing. We're trying to be very intentional, and it's very important to have the awareness to know why you're making each of these mistakes. See, most people, they can identify where there's something is sounding sloppy, but they just try to fix it by repeating it and it becomes compulsive. They just hope it irons itself out. Anders Ericsson figured out that true masters understand why they're making the mistakes and they fix the underlying issue that's going on. So they can pinpoint if it's synchronization or string transitioning or tension in the right hand. You see what I mean? Those are the real kinds of issues you need to be digging up and fixing at the edge of your ability. You fix one mistake at a time and then put it all back together again. So I've sped it up to 110 beats per minute, which is quite fast. So it feels pretty uncomfortable. It's not insanely bad, so this is a sign that I can probably work some things out. So from here, I'm gonna start pinpointing where I'm making mistakes, and I'm gonna systematically fix them one at a time. So what I'm learning is that first repetition, it's just the same exercise, the same phrase repeated twice in a row. The first phrase is fine, it's pretty simple for me, but it's actually starting over. And the question is why? Why when I start it over does it become more difficult? It's because at this speed, there's this string transition that happens where I go in between the strings, and it's super easy to get caught in between those strings. And so what I need to do is I need to isolate that. I need to isolate that and pay close attention to my right hand so that my pick stays as close to the plane of the strings as possible during that string transition without hitting unwanted strings. And that's gonna be my main focus. You see how that's a lot different from just compulsively repeating it over and over, hoping it gets better? That's the magic of what needs to happen at the edge of your ability. This is how you get good really fast. All right, the last zone is your speed burst zone. From the edge of your ability, you're going to increase the metronome speed until things really start to fall apart and they feel pretty unmanageable. This is where you will train your fast twitch muscle fibers. Here's a really obvious question. Did an Olympic sprinter become exceptionally fast by jogging? No. So even if you're not quote unquote ready to play fast, you actually are if you do it correctly, because you need to start training your fast twitch muscle fibers even quote unquote before you're ready. The trick is that you just have to take a really small amount of notes, because if you take too many notes, like the whole entire sequence at really fast speeds, then you'll start developing bad habits. So we want to take a small amount of notes and really push the speed so that we can simply train our fast twitch muscle movements like a sprinter would. So I'm at 123 beats per minute. Just to give you an idea, like John Petrucci's really fast speeds are oftentimes like at sextuplets at 130 beats per minute. So we're pretty high up there right now. I'm doing quite a few amount of notes because I've been working on this, but like even just this amount of notes, like 5 notes maybe. But the point is not to try to perfect this and add a ton of notes. It's simply to just do quick sprints, train my fast twitch muscle fibers. That's what you want to do. And that's the third zone that you want to be practicing in every day. So those are the 3 zones. I think the biggest takeaway from this video is that your mindset when you practice should shift from mindless repetition to intentional problem solving, which brings me to the biggest mistakes that I see people make in their practice sessions, even after they learn this. First mistake is they get sucked into that mindless repetition without fixing underlying issues. The next mistake is getting sucked into a speed that's too fast before you've actually developed smooth and relaxed technique at a slow speed. The next mistake is trying to do too many notes in the speed burst training, adding way too many notes because you just need to get it. So to combat this, you need to let go of timelines and needing to get fast quickly and needing to become pro quickly. You need to trust that if you problem solve every day, if you use these 3 zones every day and you're honest with yourself where you're at, you will eventually get there. I promise you. You have to be patient. It's a process. And if you want to use this practice system to get really good at your economy picking, click this video right here. If you want to use this practice system to get really good at your alternate picking, click this video right here.